The date is November 24th, 2012. It is my birthday, and it is Species Saturday, here on your daily dose of D&D. So, Species Saturday, I was going to call it Racial Saturday, but that's going to be a little bit, pitchfork and mob type thing. So it's called Species Saturday, where I'm going to spotlight one of the 50-odd races that are available in D&D. And today, we're spotlighting the elf. Elves have a long-standing place in fantasy. Tolkien used them a lot. Norse mythology has a lot of different elves in it. And there's a lot of things about elves that we take for granted in our fantasy worlds. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, as well as mechanics-wise, how elves are, how to roleplay them. And then in the DM's corner, I'm going to talk about how you can use elves as NPCs and what to do if one of your players are doing an elf. One of the things about elves is that the mythological elf that we normally believe in has been separated into three separate categories. The first, the drow, were the evil elves, the dark elves, and they're down in the Underdark with Lolth, and we'll talk more about them later. The second are the Eladrin, and these are the high elves that were really good at magic, and they've gone off and they live in the Feywild in 4th edition. And so the third category of regular plain elf aren't the ones that are super high magical. They're the ones that are more friendly and more nature focused as compared to the other two. Elves are perceived as being mostly good, except for a couple of bad eggs here and there. They're aligned with the forces of order and with nature, and that's normally pretty good. They act hostile against a couple other races, normally against those who are fairly evil or who want to conquer their areas, but also, outsiders in general, and, in some forms of the mythology, dwarves in particular, which is a Lord of the Rings thing more than anything else. Hail Papa Tolkien. Another notable thing about elves is that they live a long time. It's one of the things that don't really come up in our role-playing games, but elves can live for several hundred years, while humans can in D&D, are probably lucky if they can make it to 60. Adventurers have a much shorter lifespan, however. And so it's quite conceivable that an elf in your campaign has been around there for 3 human generations. The elven god is Corlon, who's kind of a god of archers as well. I don't honestly know much about him. We should do a god spotlight. Tell me if you guys would be interested in that. On to mechanics. The elf ability bonus first gives you bonus to dexterity, and then you get your choice of intellect or wisdom. This gives you some options. First of all, it lets you play a very, very nimble character like a ranger or a rogue. That intellect boost allows you to do things with magic. Maybe play a wizard or possibly an artificer. And that wisdom bonus allows you to play a lot of the primal characters, the clerics and the shamans and the druids. And these are all classes that are good for the elf. Elves have a standing speed of 7. Now this gives them that little bit of extra boost, and so if you want to make a very, very fast character, elf is normally the way to go. Along with that, they have a racial feature called Wild Step that allows them to ignore difficult terrain when they shift, which can be very useful under certain circumstances. Elves have low light vision, and they also have the Fey origin, which just means that they're from the Feywild, and they're more of an arcane-based creature instead of a natural-based creature. They also gain +2 nature and +2 perception, just for being an elf, and you also get long and short bow proficiencies, because of, just how much mythology there is with elves being good at the bow. Another interesting racial feature that they get is called group awareness, where each of your non-elf ally in the party can get a +1 racial bonus to perception, just to make, the rest of the party is more aware because you're there. The elves' racial power is probably one of the best out of all of the races. There's a lot of really good ones, but nothing is just so versatile as the elves' elven accuracy. Elven accuracy allows you to re-roll the attack of any attack power. So you're casting a gigantic daily wizard spell and it sucked. Re-roll it. You're an elf. Or you're a fighter and you make an attack and you miss. Well, re-roll it. You're an elf. Yeah, there's a lot of things that elves can use that power for, and it's really cool. And a lot of the elven feats that you get allow you to use that power in more places. There's an assassin feat that lets you re-roll the damage other than the attack roll, and it just gives you bonuses here and there to using that. And that's what most of the Elven-based feats are. There doesn't seem to be a lot of Paragon Pass or Epic Destinies that are extremely notable, though there is one that I might do a build with, where it allows you to build a bow cleric. If you're Elven and you are a cleric, I think it forces you to worship Corellon, but you can use a bow as a holy holy symbol. There we go. And that seems pretty cool. There are a lot of elves that you can base your character on. A lot of fantasy novels have versions of their own elves. The Aragon series has their own elves. The Mercedes Lackey Obsidian trilogy has their own elves. Also Mercedes Lackey, the Teledris from the Heralds of Valdemar, are very, very elven in how they live, and so if you wanted to count them as elves, you probably could. Tolkien has two types of elves in his world, one that lives in Mirkwood, one that lives in the other world that I don't remember the name of, and one's kind of a high elf and one's kind of a wood elf, which is an elven distinction. So you can build a character that's based more on Legolas, or on Elrond would be another good character. And hopefully as the Hobbit movie comes out, we'll see a lot more elves. So elves are a fun race, and they're a pretty good starting race. There's nothing really weird about them, and everyone's seen an elf before somewhere. So it's a very, very good character race for a new player, and Elven accuracy makes it so you can't miss, and that's pretty awesome. So, check out an elf. Welcome to the DM's Corner. It's Species Saturday, still here on the DM's Corner on your daily dose of D&D, and we're talking about elves. On playing elves as NPCs, elves have a lot of connotations. First, they're masters of the arcane. They're also, very, very nature, and they're very athletic. So if you treat all of your elven NPCs as being trained in arcana, nature, and athletics, as well as maybe perception, that will give you a very, very strong core for the character. They're also often perceived as being haughty and very against outsiders into their woods, because elves tend to live in large woods and be kind of clannish based on the forest that they're from. However, elves have been known to be from a lot of different areas. Another way to play NPCs is that elves are ancient. They've been around for hundreds of years. They've seen the human settlement go from 1 or 2 people to maybe a settlement of 100 or more? Who knows? But this elf was there watching and recording and making note of what the humans were doing. So maybe that's something that you can play. If there's an elf in your PC's party, there's really not much you can do about it, and not much that really matters. Elves are kind of a bleh race for a player. There's nothing very, very weird like that you can get from other things. Most settlements aren't going to be very anti-elf. Elves look fairly human. However, if the settlement has had bad experiences before, maybe there's some prejudice against elves. In some mythology, elves come and steal children away, and so maybe that's something that you can play up on. A good thing that you can do with an elf PC is trying to figure out what if he has a cause. Is he anti-deforestation? Does he hate animals? But pretty much, just like you would any player, find out what the character loves and figure out how you can punish him for loving that. If you can get other elves in your campaign that are willing to support him on things, that might help them be a little bit braver in doing what they feel their character would do in regards to whatever. Closing remarks today, please let me know what you felt about that opening intro where I laid out the entire day's talking, and it made it a little bit awkward later on, but I might be for it, I might be against it, I'm not entirely sure. It is my birthday, so happy birthday to me. It doesn't change anything, just showing you guys that I can record on both Thanksgiving, a holiday, and my birthday. Anyway, I'm Matt Wonkow. This has been your daily dose of D&D. Stay online, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. It might not also be a bad idea to give your players elf-specific powers that have nothing really to do with the rules of D&D, but are just things that an elf in your campaign might be able to do. Like be able to tell how old a tree is, or talk to a wild beast, or really anything like you feel. Legolas walking on snow. There's a perfect example right there.